I wanted to show you guys a clip from this documentary called Till Kingdom Come. Now, you might think that this is a parody when you watch it, but I promise it's not a parody. This is real.
You guys okay this evening? Yeah. All right. Every good thing we know, all the things we love about the Bible, they were given.
This guy's a Christian Zionist, by the way.
Us of the Jewish nation. Israel, their people, the Jews, are better than all of us. They're better than all of us. And you need to accept that. A lot of people hate Israel, the Arab countries, and they want to drive them into the sea. But we know what? That God will not cast away his people. When Jesus said salvation is of the Jews, he was right. This is where, with the kids, where we start our indoctrination. And I know that's a strong word to use, indoctrination, that it it gets such a bad reputation, but that's where it starts. That's where it started with me when I was a child, that I was taught about the support that the church owes to Israel.
So all your loose change that you have from home, you bring that change to school. Everything that we get, we will actually cash it in and make a check out to the Fellowship for Christians and Jews. And so far, you guys are doing a good job.
Do you think it's strange for parents here that their kids are asked to donate money to my country?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's some people that would say, well, what does the church have any business, helping Israel? I don't care what those people think. I know what's right, and I know what we're going to keep doing. As long as I'm here, we're going to keep helping the fellowship.
Okay. So the thing that gets me about that is these little buddies did some mowing the lawn or doing the dishes, getting a bit of spare change, and then it goes to Israel.
Oh kids, man. Wow. I'm glad that I would have thought it was a parody if you didn't give me that disclaimer, dude. Like this
is a real thing. It's been a real thing in the United States for a long time, and a lot of people never even knew that it was a thing. The easiest argument that you can make against this in the future, Myron, when it comes to dispensationalism, is just this one. So I wrote this down. I'll send it to you later. Okay. But it's the idea of converting a genetic group, right? So the idea of the promise to the Jews is associated by these people to a genetic group. If that's the case, if Jews have genetics that make them inheritors, how can they have converts? Prominent biblical figures aren't genetically Jewish, especially Caleb, for instance. He was genetically a Canaanite. This is modernism at play. How do you convert to a genetic group, right? These are supposedly the inheritors of this region. So how come converts also have access to it? If it's truly a God-given right, how can you convert to that if the inheritors are genetic in nature?
Is this, let me ask you this. Let's play devil's advocate, and they say, well, this is why we don't, we're not an inclusive religion. We don't allow people in. We put so many different barriers.
They do allow converts.
Yeah, I know they do, but they make it very difficult. Well, I guess no. I mean that's a fantastic point.
Not only that, if you go right now and you look at the requirements to become an Israeli citizen, it's by blood or by what? Religion. So if it's by blood or religion, so you can be a Jewish convert and have no Jewish background at all, bloodline, and you can become an Israeli Jewish citizen as a convert to the religion. So how could that be the case? How can you be the inheritor of the region if there's not even a bloodline there? If you accept converts to the religion, for instance, you can just marry in too, right? You can just marry in. And it's like, so that makes no sense. That's a complete logical contradiction. The inheritor of this region will be a bloodline. Do you share that bloodline? No. Well, then how can you be a fucking inheritor? That is P and not P at the same time. It's a performative contradiction.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So even though I see your position, basically it's regardless of the fact that it's hard to convert to Judaism, it's still possible, which defeats the entire argument. Okay.
Defeats the whole argument of there being a simple genetic bloodline. And by the way, which genetic bloodline are we talking about anyway? Right?
Because there's different types.
That's
Ashkenazi,
another
Sephardic.
Yeah. So the idea here, what's being asked here is who's Jewish? Who's Jewish? Is it by blood and by right? Soil and blood? Or is it the religion? Is it the conversion? Which thing is it? The question which is asked from the religious perspective is, who the f are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Who is the inheritor here? You know what I mean? And that's what the argument will often boil down to. And so, but if you take converts, this is what got the guy I was debating with on this very topic. If Christians have an ought to support Israel, that messed him up immediately. Was just asking him, who if they take converts, how can they be the inheritors? How? And he didn't have a good answer for that, and none of them have a good answer for that because it makes no fucking sense. You know what I mean? If you have a right to return to Ireland, you have to demonstrate you're Irish. There's a right of return in Germany, you have to demonstrate you're German. There's a right of return in many European nations, and all you have to do is demonstrate that you're X amount of whatever that bloodline is. And you can do this with your family tree, or you can even do it through genetic testing in some cases.
So let me add to your argument here, because I was literally researching this yesterday on stream, and I'm glad that you gave me this argument that I didn't think about. To even strengthen it there, DNA testing is extremely difficult to do in Israel. It's not illegal, so to speak, but it's extremely difficult to get it done. And that adds to your argument where it's like they're trying to make it more difficult for people to be able to establish if they actually have blood that ties to the land. So that's
that's why that's the distinction which is made when we're talking about Christianity, especially versus Zionism in this case, right? Not even Judaism, but Zionism specifically. Zionists believe that they're the inheritors. They're the God-given inheritors of this land. They pretend that it's a secular movement, even though you have the temple. You have the temple movement in Israel, where some like 1/3 of the support of the entirety of Israel wants to rebuild the temple and this type of thing, right? But ultimately, the very idea here is why Christians have no ought to support Zionism is because we believe Christians are the inheritors. We're the inheritors, right? So if this is the case, right? If Christianity believes that it itself is the church is what's being referenced as Israel, that's what we believe, not this land in the Middle East, which has nothing to do with anything, especially not the modern nation of Israel, especially is not what's being referenced anywhere biblically. So we believe that the church itself is what's being referenced as Israel.
Okay. So, and I'm glad that we got on this because, I was having, and that's why I kind of wanted to come on and kind of get your take on this.